right, we are back for another Elevated Marketing podcast, and we have a great time, don't we?
Always.
Especially when we talk about design.
Yeah, my favorite topic.
Brenna is design.
Yeah.
All right, fun and quirky question. What TV reality show would you like to be on?
Ooh, that's a good one. Um,
I feel like I grew up in the reality show.
I okay. Mine is like a reality slash game show, like Big
Okay.
Brother. I
Oh,
always loved
that's a
watching Big
classic.
Brother. Yeah, and so I think I would really enjoy trying to solve puzzles and conquer different challenges in the games, but also the reality side where the drama comes in. I would be the fly on the wall of like everything going down.
Can you play the psychology games with them?
I think so. I have a pretty good poker face, I feel like. So.
I'm going to be on the show alone because I have mental toughness. If I could just figure out how to survive out in the wilderness, like with
Mhm.
very little, I did a little bit of this over the past, like trying to survive with very little. I am trying to practice minimalism a little bit. It's not going so well, but we're going to keep going with this. But the show alone, I feel like one of the biggest things that people struggle with is at the end, the mental game. I've been by myself. Can I be happy by myself and missing their loved ones? Not to say I don't like my loved ones, but I could be mentally strong in that capacity. And you don't know how long other people have lasted. And so it's just about outlasting. So you just have to keep telling yourself, like, okay, well, nobody else gave up. So I just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like I would be
definitely mental. Yeah.
good. Okay. So today we are talking about creating the best design for a website page. And, there's website pages and there's landing pages. In our opinion, every page of a website should function like a landing page. And so there shouldn't be any kind of differentiator. I should be able to logically get to the next step. Any opening thoughts on that theory?
I agree with that. I think if you kind of have that mindset when going in and creating these pages, it is going to save you some time in the long run. So, especially if you're running ads, if you already have these pages that are, built out very well,
Yeah.
then you might save yourself some time in not having to build these pages from the ground up for your ad campaign.
So, I mean, you're touching on it a little bit, but starting with the why of the
Mhm.
page, like what is this being created for? Is it being created for ads? Is it a structure page of the website? It's still going to function like a landing page,
Yeah.
but why are you creating that page is really where a great design kind of starts off with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as with anything, you have to do your homework. So not only do you need to figure out your why for this page, but maybe go in and do some competitor research and see what your competitors are doing on likewise topics. And, again, just doing your homework on that. And you also want to think of it from an SEO perspective too. I know that's not necessarily in the realm of, design and what we're talking about, but it's
They
also
fight each other, but they shouldn't.
right. Yeah, they definitely play off one another.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so like the purpose, I think that really goes into the why.
Mhm.
Um, but I think not the reason why you want it, but let's say we're making and we're trying to get somebody to buy a certain product or service. Why do they want it? Like the content that's up at the top needs to start with what's in it for them.
Yeah, definitely outlining those features and benefits.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about not only like structurally providing a good user experience, but content wise providing a good user experience. And so answering those questions right off the bat, at the top of your page, it's going to hopefully
Overcome
encourage.
the
Do
objections.
what?
Overcome the objections pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you want to encourage, engagement on your pages too. You don't want them to just click on, view the first couple lines, bounce off. So you want to hook them within the opening of this page and, providing the why this is going to help them in their lives and, how this is going to benefit them. That's a great way to kind of start off.
You almost have to look at each page as like a funnel of the sales process and starting from the top to the bottom.
Mhm.
Some people, they scan. So everything should be scannable, and
Yeah.
the true words that you want to come out should be easily highlighted and good design and playing off of that, giving that value, like, why do I want this? But most people read in a Z pattern, but sometimes that's not true. So I often, the form right at the top, well, it might
Mhm.
not be ready yet.
Yeah.
So I think you have a little bit of thought process on your call to actions.
Definitely. Well, and, you know, kind of touching on like the Z pattern, I think while that is true on like a computer or like a tablet, something with a bigger screen, you have to also be mindful of mobile users, which most of
Yes.
your traffic is probably coming from mobile. That Z pattern, you just want to make sure everything is responsive and everything fits accordingly on a mobile device.
And that is
And
indexed first.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, that also plays into your call to actions and where those call to actions live. So, a lot of times, what I like to do is when I'm designing a page, I won't have the form up at the top, but I'm going to have some buttons throughout that are linking to that form. So, whether it's just jumping to the bottom of the page or it's, opening in a new tab, the contact page, wherever that form is that we want them to fill out, I'll place those call to actions throughout the content on the page rather than just first providing the form.
Yeah, and I like how you make your call to actions clear, but not dumb.
Hmm.
It's like tied to an emotion. Click here, like that,
Yeah.
or sign up now. Like that's overplayed. And so it's not creative enough. It's not curious enough for someone to kind of get to the next step.
Yeah. Like, they'll learn more. They're already learning. They don't wanna learn more. They wanna get to the next step. So,
Right, right. How about like simplicity?
yeah, I feel like, especially with today's world and how even thinking to, like, social media and, just different graphics, like, as you were, minimalism, simple works best a lot of times. And I think if you overcomplicate a landing page, you're only going to confuse your audience and they're going to bounce off. They're not going to reach the end goal. So I think simplicity, it sounds easy to do, but in order to get your point across, you really do have to play with your messaging. And your messaging has to be pretty sharp in order to
Concise, yeah, words. I struggled with that in the beginning a lot, when I first started off, as I wanted to over explain things. So yep.
save that for your blog posts.
There
You
you
can
go.
go in depth with blog posts.
Simplicity there too. How about visual hierarchy?
Yeah, so I think and some may perceive this different ways. The way I perceive visual hierarchy is kind of like with your leading image is probably going to be a banner image in most cases, but I view that as like your most important images need to be at the top, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yep.
We want to have images and graphics throughout the pages, but along with your why and how this is benefiting your audience, those images up at the top kind of need to play along with that content.
Needs to definitely tie in. It needs to be creative and unique. We do branded images, at
Mhm.
least on our blog post, but we've been using the same branded image for a while. How about navigatability?
Navigatability, that's a tricky word. um, This one, I see this as, you want to point your users to the next step. You don't want to overcomplicate it. So as they're reading along your page, it kind of almost needs to be in an order. So like
Yeah.
just laying out the
Like
steps.
the sales process, like we said, like how
Yeah,
are people
exactly.
thinking about this? Don't make people think, lead them right down the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Credibility.
So this will be like your testimonials. If you have any case studies, that's always really helpful to pull in. Sometimes you can put in logos of maybe the clients that you've worked with in the past or that you currently work with.
Yeah.
Credibility is a big thing, especially when it comes to landing pages. No one wants to be the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media proof, things of that nature, that somebody else has tried it. How about like user centric?
Yeah, this one kind of plays along with like the navigability, just making it user friendly, not overcomplicating it. You want to point them in the next step. And I think overall, just like,
Go
kind of
through
putting
the
a modern
process. Yeah.
to what?
Go through the process, like actually try to go through what you're trying to do and how difficult is it and where are people going to get stuck. And
Yeah,
then use the good tools that are out there, the eye tracking tools, the scroll behavior,
yeah,
measure it and understand that people are getting stuck in different places. And it might be a design element on mobile, like you just said, or something different.
yeah, definitely. It's almost putting like a modern spin on things too. It's like you want to keep up with competitors. If they have, really great site, use that as inspiration because your users are, probably going to see
Yeah.
both. And, when I hear like centric, that makes me think of like, okay, keep up with the times.
How about keeping your design balanced?
Yeah, so you definitely want to be consistent across your site. So, perhaps you're building a new page that isn't on your site and already. And, if you come in with this design that does not match anything else on your website, you know, you kind of want to stray away from that. And if it's maybe time to go through and redesign your site, which is a big task, a very lengthy process, fine. But I mean, overall, you just want to stay consistent with design. It's just I look at it as more of like a branding thing.
Yeah, yeah. White space?
I think white space is a good thing. It is. Not too much. Definitely want to fill in the gaps, but a lot of times you'll see some people using up all of this white space and it's just like congested,
Overwhelming.
crazy nonsense.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
I
white
don't
space
wanna
is a
read
good
it because it's too much.
yes.
Yes, yes. What else am I missing? I feel like we've covered quite a bit here on just design of a page. This is your favorite design. What else do you think of?
Yeah, I think, and I kind of touched on it with like branding. It's, you know, if you're going through and you're creating a new page and you find yourself picking out all of these different elements and it's like beginning to look chaotic, I think, I don't know, you can kind of use that as an indicator to like, you can keep it consistent, but, maybe tie it back in on a few areas of, keeping it simple and keeping it balanced. And yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up this topic. Thanks for listening.